I spent a great deal of time researching if paying off your mortgage early was actually better than investing, and I was shocked at the result. With the 30-year fixed-rate mortgage rising in America, the math on this is absolutely wild, and making the wrong decision could actually cost you thousands of dollars. So in order to do this, I had to get all the facts and get to the bottom of the mortgage payments. How do mortgage interest rates compare to investment returns? And what happens over the long period of time that would ensure we don't get trapped in financial ruin? So with this kind of information in mind, I thought, okay, let's calculate what happens if you decide to pay off your mortgage early, or if you decide to invest that money instead. I couldn't believe what I found out. So in order to calculate this, I hopped over to Excel and I used a loan amortization schedule. With an annual interest rate of 7.18%, which is the current interest rate as of the recording of this video, for a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, let's plug in the details and factor in the fact that we're going to have a total interest paid over that 30-year loan of $431,629.62. But what we're going to do is we're going to take two different scenarios. The very first scenario, paying an extra $200 a month on your mortgage. Now, we're going to assume your mortgage is $300,000 in this case. So one case, we're paying $200 a month extra on our mortgage. The other case, we're not. We're going to take that extra $200 that we have in our budget and we're going to invest that money into the stock market. Now, if you opt to try to pay off your mortgage early by a simple $200 a month, what that will look like is that you save $121,618.96 and you get to pay off your mortgage 7 years early. And this is how it looks right here on the sheet. So at 7.18%, we're going to opt for additional loan payments of $200, and you can see how the schedule comes out. Your total interest will drop from $431,000 to $310,000 over the course of your loan. But what happens if you decide, I'm going to take this down to zero and only pay my minimum payment of $2,032 a month? By investing $200 a month instead for the next 30 years, at the end of 30 years, you would have gained a total of $161,891. That means, looking at that number, it makes complete sense to go ahead and invest and not pay off your mortgage early, because you'll actually have more money by investing. In fact, it's $40,272.04 more by investing than paying off your mortgage 7 years early. But then I realized there's something critical that we're missing. See, the math is all depending on what you look at and what factors we put in to our overall calculation. This is where my mind blew up. So, see, if you're disciplined and you paid off your mortgage early by doing $200 more per month, that means you're going to have 7 additional years to maybe take what you were paying on your mortgage each month and invest that. Now, if you did that, would you catch up to the person that is investing their money $200 a month over the course of all 30 years? Would 7 years actually give you a higher portfolio of value than the person who has been doing it for the last 30 years? Well, let's take a look. So it's just about 2053, 30 years from today, and you can see your total balance by investing $200 a month for 30 years with an estimated rate of return of 7% would give you $233,891 total portfolio balance. That's the growth of $161,891 plus your contributions equaling $72,000. By the way, the average rate of return for the S&P 500 over the last 100 years has been 10%. Now, the reason I opted for 7% is because I know a lot of you are going to be like, what about inflation? And that is why I lowered that to 7% to account for inflation. I'm trying to get this as close to apples as possible, and not factoring in inflation wouldn't actually get us there. So we have to do that. If you didn't invest at all, you're just only focused on your mortgage, you pay off your mortgage 7 years early now, and now you have 7 years up to 2053 to invest. So considering your total payment was $2,232 for the last 23 years, theoretically you have $2,232 in your monthly budget. So now what are you going to do for the next 7 years to catch up to this person right here that has $233,000 is to invest all of that money every month for 7 years. So we're going to put $2,232 every month for the next 7 years at that average rate of return of 7% per year, and look at the big difference. Your total balance would grow in only 7 years to $239,135. Now, surely Your total investment gain is not as high. It's only $51,647. But if we compare apples to apples, which is let's look at our portfolios together, it's now January 1st, 2053. Well, the person that paid off their mortgage early and then went all in for the last 7 years actually ended up making more money. But there's actually even more concerns to unfold here. Think about the fact here that we're talking about an interest rate of 7.18% on your mortgage. Now, that is a guaranteed rate of return, which means that as long as you're paying extra on your mortgage and you're paying that thing down, you're getting the return of saving money on your overall interest over time. We don't know, in the case of investing, if that estimated rate of return will actually be 7%. Now, it could be more. Could be 10%, could be 12%, but it could also be less. If we have a period of economic turmoil over the next 30 years, the person investing could actually be losing out more than the person that's paying off their mortgage early. So the real trick is figuring out, is it worth investing versus paying off your mortgage, and which one is actually right for you? That's the concern that we need to unfold. Because for some people, they might be like, yeah, but I'm going to actually bank on the fact that that 7% is actually going to be a 10% growth. So we're going to start with the people that would want to hear about, I want to pay off my mortgage early. Let's do the pro mortgage payoff people. Here's the big key. Let alone the fact that I just showed you math showing that if you do keep up your budget and your discipline in the year 2053, if everything equals the same as we looked at in this hypothetical example, you're actually going to have more of a portfolio balance than the person that's investing their extra mortgage payment into the investments, into the stock market. But you also have something that they don't. From the 7 years up to 2053, you have freedom where they do not. And that's something to keep in mind. And that's why I paid off my mortgage early, because here's the key. Let's say, after 7 years, you get that 7 years of freedom. Let's say somewhere in between there's like a big deal going on and there's mass layoffs. And both of these people get laid off. Well, the person that doesn't have a mortgage, they're kind of chilling. Because yes, you still need money for other things, but you don't run the risk of a foreclosure. Because once you own your home, a mortgage company cannot foreclose on you, which means that you absolutely eliminate the risk. But the other person, if they don't have enough money, enough margin, enough saved up, and they don't have that income coming in anymore, they got to figure, oh crap, can I quickly pay off the rest of the remaining 7 years I have left on my mortgage balance? Or could I, after all those years, run the risk of a foreclosure and then have to downsize or go to an apartment or something like that? That's the price you get, freedom versus non-freedom. Now, you could also argue, well, why don't I just take what's in my cash balance and pay off the mortgage? But the thing would be, if the economic crisis is happening, did your portfolio drop? Did your investments drop to, even if you withdrew all that money, could you still pay off the mortgage in full, or would you actually be shorted? There's risk in everything. You just got to weigh and balance what feels best for you. So if you don't like risk and you can stay financially disciplined, you can really grow your wealth over the long term. And if you follow the Dave Ramsey principles, this guarantees you graduation into the final baby step number 7. Now let's talk about the other end, which is the pro investors. We don't want to pay off our mortgage early. We want to take advantage of having that money available, having that debt, because we want to actually take advantage of having the markets return us favorably. Well, see, we're assuming a 7.18% mortgage rate. But what we don't know yet is we don't know what's going to happen in the future years ahead. See, what could happen is we get back down to a 4% interest rate, or even better yet, a 2% mortgage rate, which means you could go ahead and refinance your loan. You could even refinance it to a 15-year fixed rate mortgage. And then what you're doing is you're really saving money, because now you have a lower interest rate because you refinance, and then you can take all that extra money in your budget and invest that. And really the only way I think that could happen is if something crazy like back in the 80s happened, where we're down here and we're at like an 8.75, and you can see all the way up to 1981, it keeps going up. So if the interest rates keep going up and up and up, then yeah, that doesn't work out. But we want to go the opposite way, where it starts going back down, and then, hey, you can easily refinance. Now, because you're still sticking around here on this video, I got a special treat for you, because that might mean that you're interested in being financially free, financially independent. And here's another thing that we could look at, is what happens over the long horizon after this. Going back to our original example that, you could actually grow, if you stay disciplined, your portfolio greater than the person who has been saving $200 a month every single month for all those years. Now, of course, hypothetically, you could get a raise, right? We're just assuming that you're only doing $200 a month for the next 30 years. That's not the goal. The goal would be we get raises, we find ways to make more money, and that $200 a month becomes $800 a month, $1,000 a month. either way. You could do investing or you could do mortgage payoff. Either way, you get more of a bigger shovel to, do things with, to dig a hole or to dig out of the hole, whichever one you want. But one thing you could also consider is if you're not worried about the risk of foreclosure, and you're also like, I don't know about this investing thing either, you could do another alternative, and that is saving up money in an investment account and then paying your mortgage off with it. And that is depending on your time horizon. Now, see, you could say, I'm going to invest, let's say, an extra $200, $400, $800 a month, or you just start at $200 and you scale your money up like we just talked about. And then over time, as your investments rise, you can take that extra investment and put more down toward your mortgage. So your money is working for you, and then in turn, you're also getting rid of an unnecessary debt in your life. You're achieving freedom by growing your income. See, if we look back here on that time horizon of $200 invested at a 7% return over 30 years, things start happening with this green line. Do you see it starts compounding? And compound interest is so magical. But if we look here in the year 2038, look at the total interest. We're at $26,221. That next year, assuming the same rate of return, your $26,000 grows to now $30,000. So could you just take out that amount of money, leave your principal in, and use that growth to pay extra on your mortgage? Now you're kind of doing it both ways. Now, of course, you got to start off by building up your income so that the green line starts taking off, but that could be a way that you also consider this. In fact, I know a few people who have saved up and they either do it in the route of growth, like we're looking at, or they invest in dividend stocks and dividend ETFs, and they take the dividends that they earn and they pay extra on their mortgage with their dividends. Just keep in mind that there is tax implications when you're using that kind of stuff, because if you're withdrawing either on your profit, in this case, or you're taking dividends, you're going to have to pay the tax man depending on your tax bracket. So check with the tax guy to make sure that you have everything squared away. But if you're scared of risk, just pay off the mortgage. It's what I did, and I don't regret it at all. In fact, get all the juicy details on what it looked like by checking out this video next, and we'll see you on the next video.